I used to make that when my girls were little.
You did, so you know what friendship bread is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yay!
It is so good, and it's such a great way to share with friends and family.
Yeah.
And it tastes really good.
It is. It's kind of addicting. But luckily you can wrap it and put it in the freezer so that you're not forced to eat like the whole loaf at once.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I use my freezer a lot for that very reason. So
Who else nobody else on this call has heard of friendship bread, right? No. So man, nobody else has heard of it.
Well, it's a very old recipe, and I think it originated with the Amish, but I'm not sure.
I try to look up the history as well. So let me do a quick intro really quick, and then Jill, we want to say hi to your little one.
Oh, sorry, she's getting ready for bed, but she's waiting for Nick to be finished with something, so she's kind of afraid upstairs alone. But this is Ella. You want to say hi to everybody?
Hi.
Hi.
I love your robe.
Yes.
Lounging in your robe.
She just finished first grade today, so she's all done with school.
I'm so proud of you. And Tracy misses you so much. He missed you. Give a hug to your brother too, okay?
Yeah. All right, you better go see Dad's ready, okay?
Aw, little ones are so sweet. I love when they join in. All right, everyone. Well, welcome to Sip and Socialize. And today our topic is cooking and sipping. Or cooking and sipping. Well, yes, cook and sip along.
Yeah, there you go.
However you might make it. But today, yes, it's all about friendship bread. And you're kind of thinking of ways the past week to connect creatively with our friends, whether near or far. And the idea of friendship bread popped into my head. And I know it from being a Girl Scout long ago. And I probably haven't baked it in probably over, probably 20 years or so. So Dan, I'm happy to hear that you are familiar with it as well, and you can help me along during this because it's been a long time since I've made it. But the whole gist of it is, this is sort of the perfect time to bring this about because it's all about, connecting with people. And the whole thing about friendship bread is just, making something, sharing it with somebody else, and then they share it with somebody else that they love as well. So I'm going to give you a brief history of friendship bread and exactly what it is. So friendship bread is basically a sweet bread that's made from a sourdough starter. And I know we have someone on this call that has already done sour bread. And so Erin, you have experience, so you should kind of get the gist of this as well. And you just made it recently, right? Sour bread? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. Just my cousin and I just did a regular loaf. But yeah, turned out pretty well.
Did you have to wait? Like, did you do a starter and then let it do its thing and then cook it later?
Yeah. So basically, over 2 weeks, you just kind of have to feed it and make sure it's happy and all of that. So yeah, it took a little bit of doing, but yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
Make sure it's happy. I love it.
I like that too.
So I'm going to say that instead of they use the word feed it, but so basically, yes, as Erin mentioned, it's similar to sourdough bread, and you create a starter and then you feed it or make it happy for about 10 days. And throughout that process, there's like a little bit of either mixing or in this case, you sort of mush a bag together. And by the end of it, you keep some for yourself, and then you divide it into, in this case, it's 4 different portions, 1 for you and 3 for your friends. And then what they do is they have the starter then, and then they grow their volume of I'm going to call it batter, and then they can divide it as well and share it with their friends. So in the end, you've created this beautiful link amongst different friend circles, and everyone just has the moment to just share something special. And as at WineSociety, we love to say, share the love. And then it kind of links everyone together, and then you just get to enjoy this delicious cinnamon bread that's really addicting, and try not to eat it all in the next day or the next morning. But the history around it is, I did look into it. It says they are not sure if it actually has a connection to the Amish. And according to a lady named Elizabeth Kolbenitz, She is a member of the Old Order Amish, that's hard to say, and the author of the syndicated column, The Amish Cook. And true friendship bread is just sourdough bread that's passed around to the sick and needy. So that's what it was created for back in the very beginning. So I think it's got a really meaningful start. And today we kind of just share it as a way to, connect with friends and, share a special moment. So we're going to get to it. We're going to get to this recipe. My yeast has already been, I guess you call it brewing. I'm not a baker, so I don't know the terminology here. I can cook, but I can't bake, even though my mom is like a professional baker. But
Yes.
and show you guys. So what I started with was a packet of yeast, or you can use 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. And you can buy it in the little packets, or you can buy it in this big bag. So it kind of looks like this, if you've never seen yeast before. It's like these little granules that are kind of crazy. But anyways, you get a cup of warm water, and then you pour the yeast into it and dissolve it. And then you let that sit for about 10 minutes. Mine has been sitting for 20, so hopefully that's fine. And then you let that sit. And then the next step is what we're gonna do. And the important tip too is that you want to take a glass bowl or something other than metal. You don't want to use a metal bowl. Let me see here really quick. You don't want to use a metal bowl, and you want to make sure that you have, because I think it reacts with the yeast. Sorry, I'm messing with my gallery view here really quick, because it messes with the yeast. So make sure you have glass or something else. So then the next step is you want to get a cup each of flour and a cup of sugar. And I'm trying to be a little bit healthy, so I'm using this organic sugar, but I think it's like the same thing as regular sugar. You can totally use a substitute, and if I wasn't sharing this with other people to where you like divide it out, I would totally probably use like a Truvia or something else, but I want to make sure it tastes good. So we're gonna dump these in here. And this recipe is like so crazy easy. I think it takes like 10 minutes to actually make, but you just dump those in together. And this is what I love, like recipes that are super crazy easy. And you just make sure that it's all incorporated, the sugar and that. I'm gonna stir it down here because it's a little easier. So once that's combined, I maybe should have had a bigger bowl because this is gonna be really full here in a minute. And what I might do, because I think I have 2 more cups to put in here. So note to self, this bowl is too small. So yes, I do. So, a big bowl is important. And then I'm gonna take the other cup measure that I have, and you're gonna take a cup of milk. I'm gonna try to be, I guess, a little bit healthier too. And I'm gonna do soy milk. So this is one substitute that I'm gonna do. And there's a bunch of substitutes that I've read about that you can add. And you can do probably coconut milk, you can do hemp milk, you could probably do macadamia milk, anything that you'd like, or even oat milk, that probably would have been really great. So a cup of this, so it's basically 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of milk, and you're gonna slowly pour in the milk and incorporate it. Do a little mixing. As I'm mixing this, what's everybody sipping on today?
Pleasure.
Ooh, sounds delish.
Uh-huh.
Everyone else, is everyone on wine today?
I'm doing wine, yeah.
Nice. Bam. And then Olivia, tell us about your concoction again.
Yeah, so I took our Chardonnay, Fate, and it wasn't cold, it was sitting out, so I really like it crispy and cold, so I put a little bit of ice and then frozen strawberries. And then I totally tell you guys earlier, I also added, it's sparkly, I don't know if you saw that, because I added tangerine sparkling water. So it gives
good.
kick, but it's really summery, and if it sits for a little bit, the berries, you can definitely taste it, it's good.
That sounds really good.
Yes. Too good.
That's the problem.
Quickly. Do you pre-freeze your fruit, Olivia?
Well, I normally just buy like the big bags. I've been making a lot of smoothies. So I make smoothies with like a ton of spinach and then just frozen fruit. You don't even taste the spinach. So I want to buy mangoes. I think that would be good with our Chardonnay. But yeah, I just buy like big bags of the frozen strawberries.
Yum. That sounds delightful. Okay, so I have got our mixture all mixed in together. So the next step is to take that yeast that we had before, and again, this was only 1 cup. Again, everything is a cup, and then it's 1 packet of yeast or 2 1/4 tablespoons. And then you're gonna pour that bad boy into here. And then you're gonna stir that as well. And then what you do is you just let it sit for a minute and let it bubble. And then once it starts to bubble, this sounds really weird, but we put it into Ziploc bags. So, wow, I can smell the yeast. That is crazy. Again, I'm not a baker, so this is definitely a little new to me. I just remember growing up and my mom would bake cakes, and I would wake up in the morning and she would level the cakes off, and that really nice, soft, and sticky part on the top would all be stuff that it was like discarded. So I would eat that for breakfast like every morning. Okay, so I'm gonna let that set. I'm gonna get my bags ready. So again, I have 4 bags. And again, this took us this was even less than 10 minutes. It's only been maybe like 3 or 4 minutes. But we're gonna take our bags. Once that starts to bubble, I'm gonna pour it into the bags, and I believe I'm gonna go back to my thing. I believe we divide it into 4 cups. I think that sounds right. Because that should make sense, because that makes up our 1 cup of water, 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 cup of milk. So that gives us the total volume of around 4 cups. So we're gonna put that into 4 separate bags. And then my thought of this is to send it to friends and family so they can kind of get started and create this and then share that with their friends as well. So I might be dropping this in the mail, which I think is totally fine. What do you think?
Are you allowed to send liquids in the mail?
Are you?
I don't know. Don't they always ask, do you have anything liquid in here?
Well, at least when you're flying with it, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Lauren, do you know, are we allowed to ship like batter? Oh, you're on mute.
Oh.
I Googled it and it says that for most locations, standard shipping is fine. Sourdough starters are considered liquids and are perishable, but conform to the guidelines set forth by the Postal Service. So it's okay.
How is that they mentioned sourdough starters?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Everyone's got sourdough now.
Yeah, so I have a question with the milk in it though. Do you refrigerate it, or is it just, how does that work? Like,
oh, Nan, do you know how that is okay?
I think maybe the yeast preserves it or something, because it always has to sit on the counter from what I remember.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yep.
So it doesn't seem to harm it in any way. So maybe the yeast is what keeps it preserved. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, there's some sort of chemical process taking place there, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, very strange, very strange. I was thinking the same thing, and I think that's kind of why I decided, these soy milks and all these milk alternatives, you can buy them right off the shelf, so I feel a little bit better about it not having to be refrigerated. But yeah, I think
think about it this way. When my girls were little, which was 50 some years ago, we didn't have all those alternatives to milk. We just used regular milk.
Mm-hmm.
And there was never a problem with the bread at all, So,
yep. That's good.
So somehow something preserves it. It must be the yeast.
Yeah, it's crazy how this goes. So as that's going, I'm going to tell you guys the next steps, and then we'll post the recipe at the end of this video. But I'm going to just talk through what happens next. So, and again, there are several different options. You can substitute a lot of different things. Like I read one article where, so the next process, it adds a few more ingredients when you actually go to prepare it to bake. And one of those ingredients is oil. And I know that, I think it's oil that I sometimes substitute with applesauce. And then another lady said that she substitutes it with 2 ripe bananas. So you can do that to try to make it a bit more healthy, and I think it'll add a little bit more flavor too. And then obviously sugar substitute, milk substitute. One lady said that she omits the vanilla pudding that's in here. And then you can also add different fruits. So you can add apples, blueberries, raisins, and you can make it like cinnamon raisin bread. But the next steps are, so once you have it in your bags, and you're gonna have 4 bags, but I'm gonna give 3 of these away to my friends, and then I'm gonna keep 1. So that 1 bag that I have myself, and the 1 bag that all my friends are gonna get, we're each gonna have 1 bag. And so what we're gonna do is there's gonna be all this stuff in here. And so day 1, like today, I'm gonna put it in the bag. I'm not gonna do anything with it. Day 2, all I do is squeeze the bag and squish it just for a little bit, and then just leave it on the counter. And then I do that through day 2 through 5. So it's just a quick, when you get up in the morning, if you have your coffee, grab your bag, squish it up, leave it go. And then the 6th day, you're gonna do basically what we did today. You're gonna add a cup of flour, a cup of sugar, and a cup of milk. And then you're gonna squeeze that bag again, just like you did all the other days, and then you're gonna let it sit. And day 7 through 9, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna squeeze that bag and just let it sit. On day 10, you're going to divide it, and what you're gonna do next is you're gonna add, okay, hold on, let me read these instructions really quick so I don't tell you wrong. So, okay, day 10, this is like the magic day when everything happens and you can actually like cook your bread. So, you're gonna you pour everything in your bag into a metal bowl. So you're gonna end up back pretty much to this stage. You're gonna add another 1.5 cups of flour, 1.5 cups of sugar, and 1.5 cups of milk. And you're gonna mix that really well. And then if you wanna keep another starter to start this process again, to share with somebody, you can take out a cup and share that. And then you can also divide the remaining, oh, yes, sorry. This is so confusing.
You're doing great. Not quite TV material yet, but you're getting close.
Well, Jill can edit it, so.
Yeah, right.
It makes perfect sense. Like I could watch this and recreate the steps. Like it makes perfect sense. It's just crazy that it takes that long to cook.
Yeah.
So when you're back to the end, so basically I think the gist is you start with 1 bag, and I've given away the rest of my recipe, but I still have this 1 bag. So going through this entire process, you're building the volume again to where you can recreate this and then share it again. So it's just kind of like this everlasting, evolving, infinite sharing of this yummy cinnamon bread. So, but at any time you of course can stop.
Yeah.
So your one bag and your 1 cup that you have left, you're able to actually make that. So with that 1 cup, what you would add, and again, I'm just gonna rattle through this really quick and I'll post the recipe, but you're gonna add your 1 cup of your starter, you're gonna add a 1/2 cup of sugar, and 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, just to dust the pan, but I never measure. That's probably why I don't bake. You just dust the pan. You're gonna add 3 large eggs, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. You're gonna add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil or your alternative, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 cups of flour, 1/2 cup of milk, 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 large box of vanilla pudding, another cup of sugar. Didn't we already have that? Maybe not. Cup of sugar. Baking soda. So again, these will all be listed at the end. And then you preheat to 325, put it in bread loaf pans. Then you're gonna add a little topping. You're gonna add sugar and brown sugar, or sugar. I'm gonna add brown sugar to mine actually. Sugar and cinnamon is all it calls for, but I'm gonna add a little brown sugar to mine to get it nice and gooey. And then you're gonna sprinkle that on top. You're gonna bake it for 50 to 60 minutes. Cut it enjoy it with coffee, with wine, whatever you feel. So I guess it sounds complicated. I think at least it does to me as I was reading those instructions, but basically, you know, when you have, like, if I had my one bag left and I didn't want to create a whole nother recipe, I would basically just go through, I think just cook my 1 cup, or I just keep all 4 cups and just cook it. Nan, do you know how that works?
I don't know, because I remember getting to the end and I had 1 left over and I thought, do I really want to do this again? Do I have that many friends to share it with? But I don't remember exactly. It's been too many years.
Mm-hmm. So I think
it is very, very good. It is very good.
Agreed. I'm gonna go ahead and put my 1 cup into here, and I'm gonna kind of divide it. It's gonna be a little messy, so I might I'm gonna talk through this, but let's see here.
Is this your first time making friendship bread?
Pardon?
Is this your first time being the originator of the friendship bread? Have you received the friendship bread from other people?
Both, but it's been years. It's been so long. Again, like I started this when I was in Girl Scouts, and oh my God, we used to do this multiple times a year, and then you get one and it would be like exciting because you're like, ooh, it's so good, and then you're like, oh my gosh. But I think stopping the process and coming to the point where you're gonna not make it again is the hard part. I kind of feel like make it once there,
Mm-hmm.
and then if that extra cup, just discard it. So I'm gonna show you.
Jill and I were discussing privately, we think since we're past the Girl Scout stage, we could probably throw a little bourbon in that cinnamon cake, or, you know, just adult
That's a good idea.
thing we could add to the friendship cake, you know.
Yeah.
A little bit of rum, maybe rum cake.
Ooh.
Yeah, or you a little put the frosting with bourbon, right? That'd be nice.
Ooh.
I'm telling you, Aaron's the baker of this group. Seriously.
Oh no.
Really fresh Billy the other day. He actually needed his own sourdough.
2 loaves. I've done 2 loaves.
I bought a loaf of sourdough bread from Trader Joe's because I knew I was going to want bread after this. I'm not going to spend 10 days making bread.
my cousin,
a good education.
my cousin and I just wanted to see if we could do it, but yeah, it's a lot of work.
What day are you on, Aaron? So this is your second day?
No, we did it about probably, I think day 14. So Sunday was the day day 10 probably.
Got it. And do you have to like, do you put it in bags, or what do you put it, what's the sourdough? So share us the sourdough process.
Yeah. So it's just water and flour, and you kind of have to adjust as the, fermentation's coming together. But I just do it in glass mason jars.
Do you use the metal lids then, or does that mess with you?
No. So I don't use the lid, but I do cover it with plastic wrap.
Got it. That's the key.
Yeah.
Was this a mandated stay-at-home hobby, or was this a previous baking hobby? Is this a new?
Oh no. This is something new. We saw a couple friends of ours do it online, but yeah, up until 3 weeks ago, we were not home bakers. But the first loaf did not turn out very good, so that did not get put on the internet. The second loaf turned out pretty good, so I posted it.
That's awesome. Guys, though, I think right now, like, everyone is baking, apparently, like, bread baking. Lauren, were you the one that was telling me this? Bread baking is like a huge hobby right now.
Yeah, I saw the Pinterest statistic where, like, the people searching and pinning bread making was like 800 times what it had been previously, after everything had started. Everybody was making bread at home. You could not buy yeast in the store.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't find it either. I was like, oh my God. I was like, we are making this recipe. I was talking to Lauren and I was like, what do I do? I was like, I don't have all the ingredients. Like, I went to the store and the whole baking aisle was clear. There was nothing there. There was maybe, I don't even think there was flour. All there was left was a couple things of like sugar substitutes, and that was about it. So I was calling my neighbors. I first called around all the stores that were here. Nobody had it. And they're like, oh, maybe try back on Saturday. But then I talked to my neighbors. They've been out since basically COVID hit. Like, the shelves have been bare. So luckily my neighbor, he stocks up and he had this, and I was like, can I just like experiment? Like, all I need is a teaspoon. And I opened this whole thing. He hadn't even opened it yet, so I feel a little bad. But
Yeah, I was gonna say, Angela, that's very valuable. We did try to order that a couple of weeks ago, actually on Amazon, and it's backstocked until June. So we're not gonna get it till 2 weeks.
maybe I want me to grab a little extra out of here. I told him I only
There you go.
And we need to throw that friendship bread on Amazon, to the highest bidder.
There you go.
That's too funny. I think I had some questions for you guys really quick and we'll wrap it up here soon. Yeah, so I guess since Nan's the only one that had a friendship recipe, but Erin's done it as well as far as just a sourdough. But if you guys were to make this, are you all gonna make this? First of all, does anyone feel like taking on this if you can find yeast?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely make it, but I think I would just like make it to cook it that day, or like make it not, I mean, I know you have to wait for it to, I guess, it's 10 days, but I don't know about the biting and all that. Like, unfortunately right now it's hard to like drop off that. So if you figure out how to ship in the mail, Jill, I'll ship you some, but I think it's fun. Like I'm intrigued to see what it tastes like, because I've never had it before. So I just want to like see what it tastes like. So yeah, I would definitely be interested in making it, but I don't know. I'd probably do the other 3 and freeze it for myself for later. Is that a selfish friend?
It's the non-bread bread.
And okay, if anyone doesn't want to make it, do you want me to send you one of my little 3s?
Ooh.
Already pre-started.
I thought you were sending me one to get it started. I thought that was the plan. No, I'm just kidding. No, it sounds super easy to make, actually.
Yes, I think I confused myself as I was going through the directions reading it, but I think through the card and as you go through the process, I think just understanding, like you do the whole thing, and at the end, if you want to start all over, you keep a cup out. If not, just bake it all.
Yeah. I just want Erin's bourbon glaze. I want Erin's bourbon glaze recipe. That's all.
Yeah.
I can send that along.
You like create a bourbon glaze recipe.
And then, so if you were to make it, who would you guys give your other 3 to?
Ooh. Probably my sister and my mom. And then my granny lives really far away. She's like an hour out. So like Tracy said, it'd be kind of weird. So I might save it for myself.
That's cute.
Yeah, I think
I would with my daughter. I think she would have fun doing that. So maybe her little friends at school or something.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Jill. I feel like Aubrey, my daughter, and her friends would think like they've all they're like 18, but they all have kind of been baking and they're learning because they're kind of adults now, their first apartments, that they're getting. So I think it would be really something fun. I'm actually already talking to Aubrey. I want to share this with her because I think that like generation is starting to get into baking, because baking is actually a little easier than cooking sometimes, right? So I think this would be something I would definitely want to share with my daughter, so she could share it with like her friends.
I love that.
I like that too, because you're connecting and it's almost a lost art to make bread from scratch like that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think like her, I mean, I'm not the mom that taught her how to make bread from scratch, and she did Girl Scouts maybe for like 1 year when she was little, but no, I think they like, this is a cute, fun thing, and we've all seen they like to share, and I can totally see Eleanor, Jill doing this. She would love to do this. Jill's an amazing cook, so like Eleanor is actually pretty hip to the kitchen just from watching Jill, so I could totally see her walking down the street and dropping it off at her friend's house. And
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all. Thanks for learning along with me, because again, it's been so long. And it's nice to hear, the comparison of Erin with just the sourdough recipe, and then Nan, that you've had the experience as well. And I think we're all just relearning. And again, I think that's wonderful too, like, sharing it with the younger generation, because that's when I first learned about it, was when I was a wee little one. And it is just kind of fun. And as a kid too, like, what's more fun than, I remember like rushing to the counter to like get to squeeze the bag. Like my brother's bag. So it's just kind of a fun little thing. And even though it's a small thing, it's just something like, I'm planning on shipping mine in mason jars too, like putting the no metal lids, but just dropping this in kind of a mason jar with like a cute little bow or something, and then shipping it to maybe my friend in Chicago and, you know, maybe a family member in Cincinnati. So different places, so then they can share it with kind of the communities there, and then it just expands. So anyways, hope you guys had fun and learned a new recipe, and we'll try it yourself at home and share the love with some friends.
Okay, thanks, Angela. That was fun.
I think I need to,
Good.
I'm probably gonna have to use the hashtag Pinterest fail because I already know it's probably not gonna work out as well. So you can always use that hashtag.
It didn't bubble as much as they said it would, so I'm praying that it's actually
Friendship fail. That might be a new trending hashtag.
All right, friends. Well, cheers to friendship, and thanks again for joining, and we'll see everyone again next week.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.